My name is Tomasz and you're watching Casual DIY channel. Today I want to cover some basics about a drill press. What it is, how it's built, how to operate it and what it can actually do. Check out the video. Right then, so what is a drill press? In simple terms, it's just a drill. Okay, the quilt comes down with your drill bit and you can drill accurate and straight holes. Obviously, there's far more we can do with this tool, which we'll all cover. However, the question is, do you actually need one if you already got a drill in your workshop? There are a few things that a drill press can do a lot better and safer rather than just using a normal handheld. It will be far more accurate if that's what you need in your project. It's very easy to set this tool to make repetitive and accurate holes, but we'll cover that a bit later on as well. It's a perfect tool to use larger bits, like for example a Forstner bit or a hole saw, that this will be far better and safer to use rather than a normal drill. As you can see, my particular drill is a benchtop drill. You can also get a floor standing one, but that obviously is far more expensive, although it can tackle much larger pieces. So it all depends what your needs are. But let's talk about how it's built and what you can expect from this tool. More or less all the drill presses will be made in a similar fashion and they will look very, very similar. On the back you can see that's the motor. Now the motor itself is actually connected to the pulleys that are located at the top of the machine. These pulleys, how they are set up, dictate the speed of the whole drill. Now inside usually you get how to set these pulleys up, and that will represent a respective RPM, i.e. speed of the tool. Mine goes from 210 RPMs right up to 3040. To change the layout of the pulleys is very, very simple. Usually there's a locking bolt like this one over here that locks the whole motor. Then you've got the lever that allows you to pull the whole motor forward and release the tension from the pulleys. Basically just change the position of the pulleys like that. Obviously you need to follow the instructions to make sure you're in the correct places for them. Add the tension again by holding the handle. Lock the position of the motor with those knobs that are located on each side of the machine, and now you've got a correct tension again on the pulleys and you're ready to go. On the side of the machine we've got the handle that operates the drill press and obviously the quilt, how low it will go. In my case I've got 8 centimeters of reach on this machine, but there's a really cool feature that comes with I think all the drill presses. You can basically set up the depth of your drilling, so that's very helpful if you don't want to drill through your material but you want to stop at a certain position at a certain depth of drilling. So that's very, very helpful here. In my case it's just that's just located over here, and so it will stop at a correct position set up by me. Also what you can do with this, for example, if you need the drill bit or anything else, any other bit to stay at a certain height, you can just lock that position in place as well. So that could be very helpful. Now over here we've got the chuck of the drill. So if you've got a normal for example cordless drill, it works in the same fashion, it operates on the same way. Now in my case this is a keyless chuck, i.e. I can do it and undo it just by hand, tightening it like so. But in many cases you may get chucks that require a key. It will look something like this. For me personally, I prefer the keyless ones, as usually I would just lose the key and I would get in trouble with that. So I've got a drill bit here, it's for wood, and so it's ever so simple to lock it in place. Just spin the locking mechanism like so, 2-hand motion, lock it in place, and this is not going absolutely anywhere. And now this is ready to operate. You've got the handle here and you can just make the holes that you need. Now on the other side of the drill press, that's the on and off switch. On top of it, in my particular drill, I do have a guide, I do have a laser guide, and I have to say it's quite accurate and it's easy to set up to make sure it's accurate. So that sometimes comes in handy. Now don't look at this hose little thing, that's my dust extraction that I've made myself, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. Next, we've got the table of the drill itself. Usually they are very small, and in my case, for example, I do woodworking, so it's nice to have something bigger so I can rest my pieces. And I'll show you later on what actually table I made for this drill. But yes, usually you get something similar to this. It does offer some options of clamping your workpiece, and this is actually very important when you operating a drill press, to actually clamp your piece onto the table itself, because you know, like with anything, there is a lot of power in this drill. If you're holding the piece that you're drilling by your hand, what can happen is the drill bit can get stuck somehow inside of your piece and just rip it out of your hand and spin it around. So obviously there's a potential for an injury. So as I said, it's always best practice to clamp your work to the table itself. That's the best way. Now the table itself actually offers quite a wide variety of setup, i.e., for example, you can take it lower or higher depending on what you're drilling. So at the back there's this clamping mechanism that you need to undo here, and usually on the other side you've got a handle that you, as you spin it, goes up or down depending on you know, what you need. However, in my case, I've got a little bit of a different setup. I'm just using my drill to take the table lower or higher depending on what I need. And now when the table is at the height you require, you just lock it in place with the locking mechanism you've got with your drill at the back of the machine, and that's now stable. On top of that, if you need to, for example, in my particular case, I've got another locking mechanism underneath it, and I can just spin my work table to the desired position. Also, in my case, I can actually rotate the whole arm left to right, just like so. There's a bolt underneath there that I need to undo, and the scale of what angle it will tilt to. So that will be quite handy if you need to make some holes under a specific angle. However, to get the most out of your drill press, I would recommend that you make your own table for your drill press. It gives you then a lot more scope for handling larger pieces. It gives you more ability to clamp your workpiece. So I've got some T-tracks here. I've got an aluminium profile over here with some T-slots in it. So that works as a fence. A stop block system can be put in place thanks to that. And on top of it, in this particular table, I've got the ability to shift the top of the table on the X and the Y axis as well. On top of that, if you are actually making holes through your workpiece, I've got a cookie cut in the middle over here so you don't damage your tabletop. So that ensures the quality of your drilling, and you won't have any blowouts, any tear-outs, anything like that. So that's a very cool addition here. Now, if you're interested in my particular table, I've done a whole video on how to make it. All the steps are covered. So if you want to check out how to make one of these, I'm going to drop a link to my video down below in the description of this video. So when you finish watching this one, you can go ahead and check it out. It's definitely worth making. Now, for example, I've got this piece of MDF. I want to pre-drill some holes at the same distance from the edge of the board. Okay, so this is where the fence comes in really handy. I can just set the fence to the desired position, just like so, making sure that I'm on the right spot, lock it in place. And now each time I'm going to have a hole that's at the same distance, so that speeds up my work. On top of that, I've got a dust extraction solution here. For me, it works absolutely perfect, so I can locate it wherever I need it to be. So that helps in containing the mess on the table. Now, before you actually start drilling anything, you need to make sure that your setup is square, i.e. the drill bit is at 90 degrees to your table. If not, you need to make the adjustments. For that, just use a square that's available to you. Place it against your drill bit from different sides, making sure that your whole setup is square. Ultimately, will make sure that your holes that you're drilling are nice and square and exactly what you wanted. So that's one of the basics you need to cover. How to adjust this, I did show you that the table itself has got some adjustment there, so just work with that. It's very simple to do, nothing to it really. But that's basically the most important thing you need to do before you start working with a drill press. And as you can see, we've got the holes made exactly from the distance we needed. On top of it, as I mentioned, it gives you the ability to install a stop block if you need some repetitive cuts. In my case, obviously you've got the T-tracks here, but you can do the same thing on the fence. Plus, you've got the ability to add some clamps to make sure that your workpiece will not be ripped out of your hand when you're drilling through it. So that's nice and stable. We've got the stop block over here so we can make some repetitive holes. Now I've installed a larger Forstner bit. So for example, if you want to make some T-light holders, anything like that. So yeah, Forstner bit is the way to go. It's a larger bit, so you need more control over it. Hence, this tool is perfect for that. And on top of it, we actually want to stop at a certain depth, not to go through the whole thing. And remember, we do have that ability to set this drill to a certain depth. So that's sorted now. I'm just going to bring the fence a little bit closer. Now, the fence also helps with the stability of your workpiece, i.e. if, for example, the bit grabs your material, it will actually not spin around itself because the fence will be holding that in place. So in a way, it's a really good safety feature as well. Just going to add a few clamps to it to make sure it's nice and secure. And now look at that, straight away we've got the T-light holder, just like that, very simple. As I mentioned before, it's also a perfect tool for a hole saw like this one, the larger ones, where it's very difficult to control this with your hand with a normal freehand drill. This is absolutely perfect, so let's make a hole now. Now, there's one very important thing that I forgot to mention to you guys with regards to the speeds setups of your drills, because then you can ask yourself, well, why do I have so many options? How does that matter? It all depends what drill bits you are using and what materials are you drilling in. So, for example, if you're using a large Forstner bit or your hole saw, you want to go to the lowest possible speeds. But you will also use the lower RPMs, for example, if you're drilling in metal, the medium RPMs if you're drilling for wood, normal general purpose drill bits as well, and the highest RPMs for really small bits. But I will try to link down below to a website that will tell you exactly what speeds are best for what type of bits and what type of work. For me, it's a tool that would be hard to be without now, especially when I've got this nice setup here. It really helps to bring the quality to your project. So it's definitely a tool that I would recommend to anybody. However, it's not definitely an essential tool in every single workshop. All depends what projects you're tackling and what you need to do. Now, I hope this quick and simple overview of this machine was helpful to you. If it was, drop me that like button down below, and also consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so yet, as I am bringing a whole series of videos on how to use different types of tools in a workshop. So perfect for DIYers, perfect for woodworkers. If you are starting your adventure, this is the place to be. But for now, guys, Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Take care.